Welcome back to the Chill Sounds and Breakdowns podcast. I am excited for this one today. First of all, look how pretty it is in here. It's one of probably the best places we've done a podcast soon. But I'm very interested to talk to the person today, and I am going to let her introduce herself. So today I have
Cecilia Navarro.
Ooh, and she is the mind behind CreativelyBeautGoods.
Yes. Thank you for getting the name right. Sometimes people say beauty because beaut is a slang word, short for beautiful. And since I'm from the Bronx, I just thought CreativelyBeautGoods.
You know, I will apologize because I have messed it up in the past.
That's
you know
okay.
what I mean?
That's okay. Everybody does it.
I was like, it's spelled wrong. And it's like, no, like Daniel was the one who was like, it's not spelled wrong. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But so it's slang. So I didn't know that.
Yeah, like short for, or sometimes people use it like, oh, she's a beaut or. So,
okay, I've heard that.
So since there's different creations, I thought, okay, that's a beaut, this is a beaut, just seeing the beauty in everything.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So that's kind of like thematically, I guess, what you kind of designed everything about. Yeah. Well, I want to get into the origins. Like, how did this start? I was reading a little bit about like the biography, and I think the story said something about it started with you making like a dream catcher for your kiddo.
Yeah, motherhood really woke me up and connected me to my creative side. Mm-hmm. So I started creating a dream catcher. And it felt so good, just transmuting energy and doing something for my loved one, like my baby, So It's like, wow. It was a motivation I think that I needed as like compared to the 9-to-5 motivation for just money. It was a different kind of motivation.
That I think that's what most people, once they find like what they need to do, it's that shift in motivation from like, I do this just because I need money to pay and survive. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then when you finally start doing things to actually like feed your soul kind of thing. Yes. So I feel like it's a difference between like surviving and thriving. You know what I mean?
That's why I'm so grateful you messaged me because you're doing what you need to do. And I'm also learning from you, seeing you with your setup and stuff like that. Yeah. I always wanted to do tutorials. And it's like you think of back in the old times when people will barter and trade, mm-hmm. like what can we exchange skill sets for to continue in society if shit hits the fan?
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Like, especially like, I mean, the past like year and a half has just been something no one ever expected to ever happen.
Exactly.
And,
so you can't rule anything out.
It put everybody into an uncomfortable position that they've mm-hmm. never, ever think they'd ever be in. You know what I mean? So no, I take every one of these like interactions as what I learn for, mm-hmm. For learn from the person I'm speaking to. Yeah. And like from every interaction that I've had, every one of them, like I get something new to take back because I've learned that that's kind of the way you have to go through life. You have to go meet people and learn from them and, whatever it may be, good or bad, it's always a learning experience.
It feels like that's the whole point, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, yes. Yeah. It does feel like that's kind of the whole point of everything. Yeah. To take back what you can from everyone you meet because literally everybody you meet has something mm-hmm. to contribute to yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's probably had a lot to do with like how you built this.
I'm glad we agree on that perspective because it really is. I never foresaw when I created the name that it would be, I would be working with other vendors, but I have a really strong spiritual practice and I believe in God. And so I was before, jumping into this, I was just like, should I do this? Just praying and trying to get the answers and connect with my intuition essentially, right? Mm-hmm. You don't have to believe in God, but like we connected to ourselves, right? Yeah. Should I do this? And then what came to me was, you have to learn how to work with other people to do mm-hmm. this. And I'm like, okay, I do pop-ups. I work with other creatives. And I can do this with them and lo and behold, this is how I was able to.
Yeah, well, one of the things I noticed when I first came into your shop, actually it was during one of the Rolex that you participate in, is you not only have like the things that you have to offer, but you let other people have their things featured here too, which I thought was really cool. Like currently, like how many do you how does that go? Is it just? I mean, I'm sure in like the business you're in and like in the the groups that you're in, you meet people all the time. Yes. I'm pretty sure that's how you like.
Yeah, it went from pursuing to attracting.
Yeah.
So that feels good. But every month it circulates because not everyone sells as much as other people, and that's fine. Maybe their lane is more online or their own community because we cater to a certain type of person or a shopper or client, and it's a learning experience. We're evolving and growing.
Mm-hmm. But I think that's so cool that, you know what I mean, other people get their opportunity. For someone especially, I think a lot of those look at you as someone who, you know, has hit one of those upper levels. You mean like you have your own like brick and mortar place where like you can feature your things, and I really love the fact that you offer that, you know, space and share it with people around you who are you know, trying to do the same thing with their, you know, creations. And you're it's more of a teamwork. It's more of like building. It's more of a community together rather than like, hey, I'm gonna take it all for myself and not share it. So I'm glad that you found part of your way, and then you're willing to share that with like other people. I think that's so cool, because I know when I talked to Robbie, they had some of their plants like in here, and they were talking about like, you know, that's kind of where I heard a lot more, where I wanted to speak to you more because of how highly like Robbie spoke of you, and I'm like, oh, okay, like I really need to talk to like Cecilia. Then.
I'm grateful to have had Robbie here as a shopkeeper. And now as a freelance help, you know, for anything, Robbie can take care of like whatever I need. Basically, it's good to have those relationships with others, and I recognize that I'm a launch pad for a lot of people, and they're here to gain skills and experience or show me a lot of things that I'm not able to. You know, it's not my cup of tea, because I want to do the creative part, and just recognizing that, putting the ego aside and knowing that, hey, this person has something to offer me and so do I. It's a even exchange.
Yeah. So so you prefer more of like the creative side as far as like actually creating things? Yes. Is that kind of, are you fighting that against like the whole like business side of it? Is that what you mean?
Yes. It's been a huge challenge, the business side. But I want to become financially literate. If I want to grow and evolve and have financial freedom, essentially, I have to teach myself these uncomfortable things that I don't like. And that's discipline and growing, being 30, having a baby. You can't BS anymore. I mean, you could, but I don't want to be a bum.
But then, like, you know, but then you can't be mad at like realize like, oh, I haven't, you know, leveled up or moved up in anything. Things like you kind of reap what you sow, kind of thing. But you're right. Like, I think a lot of, even in music, like as being a musician, I was for like a while. That was the hardest part to learn. I was like, I just want to make music, and that's it. Like, I don't want to worry about anything else. But it was like, okay, but how do you build the band's brand? Like, how do you guys get popular? How do you eventually make money off of this? Like,
leveling up.
You got to know some of that. And even with this, you know what I mean? Like, I love doing this, but it's like, okay, let's figure out, how does this all turn into a business eventually? You know, because that's what it is. Like, for me, yes, I just love talking to people, and like I get to meet people and talk to them and learn from them. But it's like, okay, that's all good.
The societal standard where you got to pay bills. And,
exactly. If I didn't have bills, then sure, I can just talk to people for free all the time. But
it's a tug of war, right? Like, this is the art form, and then this is what you're passionate about, but then you have to pay the bills.
Yes, at the end of the day,
it's an art form that I'm always navigating and trying to check myself. Okay, it's not all about the money right now. This doesn't feel good. You're not creating from a good space. Take a break. Focus on just shifting.
Because the whole point is to be able to make a living doing what you love. You know, if you can get that done, then sure, you are still working to pay bills, because you're going to have to. But the work that you're doing is letting your creativity like flow, and you're able to use it, and you're not able you don't have to hide it or like just put it away with you, which a lot of people do in like, their normal jobs and things like that, where it kind of like eats away at you, and you're like, okay, like I haven't had the chance to
having
create
an outlet
anything.
is so important. And if you haven't learned that by now, geez, what have you been doing with your time? You need to have an outlet, more than one even,
No, an outlet is super important just to survive. And it doesn't matter what it is. Like, it doesn't even have to be creative. Like, it just matters like what releases you.
If you need to keep it a secret and not tell anybody because of your family or friends that are questionable, don't tell them. Just do it for a little while, and then when you feel confident, then come out the closet. But we can also be a rebel, and like OC and I just faking it till we make it, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's all I'm doing. I'm just like being able to set this up, like, and talk to people and
we gotta start somewhere.
And that's all it is. And I know, again, knowing that if I put in the work, if I keep doing this, keep going at a pace, keep climbing up oh yeah, this eventually will like
Exactly.
get to where I need it to go. It's
And
just
that's what I
can't be
hold on
stagnant.
to.
Yeah.
Whenever I start, going back, ooh, hold on to that. You already know.
And because this is your second location, right? That you opened originally. Originally, where did you open?
It was just down the block in a little 400 square foot space I was renting. And I'm very grateful that the developer gave me that month-to-month opportunity just to test it out.
Cool.
No huge commitment. The street wasn't bumping like that, so he was, I'm sure, kind of desperate to get someone in.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he had faith in me and allowed that flexibility for me to prove that this is actually what I want to do in the long run.
Yeah.
And the support from the community gave me the ability to become a marketplace and collectively own the place together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool because that when you moved in there was that when you were deciding to okay, I'm going to do this full time.
Yes,
Okay,
it was a huge jump.
It's got to be
Yeah.
so like
Yeah.
my anxiety would be like through the roof.
Yeah, it was crazy because it was on March 1st, 2020, and then the lockdown happened March 17th.
Oh no! Oh my
Yeah,
gosh!
I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it.
How did that feel? Like as soon
I
as they
think I
announced
had
that?
a midlife crisis. Like, a lot of dark nights of the soul, but this is where my faith was truly tested, and I had to believe in something more powerful than myself because there were miracles. I felt like I still feel this is a miracle, the second location.
Yeah.
It's magical. So that's why I choose to believe, like, wow, there's gotta be, this is not just luck,
Yeah.
There's no way.
Because opening a shop and then the shutdown happening, right? That's, detrimental for a business. You got to think about how many people that would have taken, and then that would have been it for that. That's you starting off, and if you run into something like that, a lot of people would turn back.
Yeah.
So definitely, I feel like you're right in thinking like something else, kind of helped out, and because it's a lot of luck for you to be that March 1st and then be where you are like right now. That takes a lot of work. It took a lot of like help around the community, I'm sure. And then, something extra from the universe, like stuff that we can't,
I'm grateful I had my daughter to motivate me.
Yeah.
I know people get motivated by different things, but my daughter really motivated me to like not give up.
Is that just like, I got to do it for her kind of thing?
Yeah, and like the freedom that I wanted, I wasn't happy with what I was doing before. So it's like I want this freedom to be the best mother I can be and to just be happy.
Yeah.
You can have a job 9 to 5 and that's okay, but if it's not your passion, then you're going to come home and reflect to your loved ones, not your best self, right?
True. You're really right about that. And if your daughter gets to see you thriving and doing what you love and coming home and just spreading more of that love, bringing that love home to her,
it gives her permission
to
to do whatever she wants to do one day. And, what our parents sacrificed, we're both first generation, and what they sacrificed for us to be able to pursue our creative passions, right? It's like, we'll be damned if we let it go to waste. This opportunity.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
And that's what helps me motivate myself also.
Well, yeah, because she'll see that and she'll see like, oh, I can do something that makes me happy and make a living at it and be able to do that. And it'll inspire her to whatever she may choose to do. She knows that like, that's what I want, not anything the materialistic way of it, but like I want to be able to be happy doing, in what I have to do. In that sense, but yeah, being first generation definitely has been giving me my mom, that's all she worked hard and she's like, I'm not going to tell you what to do. It's like, you do whatever you want. It's like, but whatever you decide to do, it's like, you need to, dedicate to it. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, she's like, because I've done plenty of things and I've decided like I was going to be a doctor at one point. I was going to, play music forever. And then, so I have plenty of passion going through. And she's like, and every one of them, she's been supportive. She's like, just do it. Like, until, if you feel you're not dedicating enough to it and you don't want to do it anymore, he's like, that's fine. You don't have to do it.
I'm so glad you got that support system because not everyone has it.
No.
So it can be a little harder.
I am very, very much lucky, very lucky to have, the mother I had growing up. But everything comes with its own trials and tribulations. I know everybody doesn't have that same kind of freedom, and it's a little more difficult to people. But that's when you realize that you can create your own type of community around you.
Seriously, that is like the motto right there.
Yeah, because you get to pick the people that are gonna motivate to be around you. It's like these are the people that I want. It's like somebody that's doing what you want to do, or something similar to it, or has the work ethic that you like. Hang around them, like have them around you.
I'm okay with playing with the cards I was dealt with.
Yes,
being born first generation, not having previous ancestors here in the U.S. and learning how to navigate this new territory and putting our parents and family on to how things run out here.
No, exactly. I mean, I'm sure we were all like the translators for everything, going to the bank. Man, like, she said she wants this, and I'm like, okay, and showing them the different ways, because like, I mean, our parents grew up in a completely different world, and even though my mom's been here since she was 14. It's still a culture thing, and she's come to grow and learn and be like, okay, it is different. Like here, like it's going to be different. The opportunities are different. And once she kind of got behind that, she's like, oh, okay, you can pretty much do anything you want as long as you work, as long as you work at it, and that's one thing that I think we do have, in this country is that like, okay, you want to do something, you can pretty much get it done, like as long as but it's gonna take work. None of it will be easy. And you gotta combine your resources. You gotta count on your luck. You gotta count on anything extra from the universe to, it doesn't always work out, but it all depends on you, your outlook on how you take each failure, because there will be many of them, and you can't expect not to trip and not to. But
I don't know why this popped up in my head. Because I know a lot of people don't like Trump, right, and what he has to say. But there was a recording I saw him speaking somewhere, talking about Latin, Hispanic people, and saying they really work hard. They're resilient, passionate people. And I'm like, yeah, you got it right. Yes. He's like, don't get them mad. And I'm like, so, these are the rare clips people don't show.
I mean, everyone can't be all bad, right? But
I like that. I was like, you're right.
Like, all right, like, say more of that. Like,
you'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I think we are, and like I said, that's the sort of people that I feel like you need to surround yourself with, and I think you do quite a good job with that, especially in like, because you organize a lot of pop-ups too that involve like a lot of people and markets, and how did you start like wanting to do that?
Honestly, to pay the rent. And also because a lot of creatives and myself weren't getting sales. Like, we were relying on face-to-face interactions and doing these pop-up events every other weekend, or some people every weekend. So just giving them a more intimate setting because of the restrictions to doing big gatherings at the time. And it was difficult to navigate, but we figured out a loophole. We made it happen while abiding by the regulations, and I'm just so grateful for the community that came to support. Yeah. Because without that, I wouldn't have been able to continue to grow the community and expand here. Yeah. So, and also grateful for the developer not only giving me that test drive location, letting me do pop-ups on the street, on a vacant property, and now here. So without him believing in me either. Just not having a lot of evidence to show success from my past to even open a shop. It was like a leap of faith for him to take. And I mean, it's panning out. Like you said, you need people to take those chances on you, and you need to take that chance on yourself and believe in yourself, because for some people that's why a lot of stuff doesn't happen and get done, because it all seems so impossible, because you're staring at the end goal and being like, this is what I want. I'm so far away from that. Like, there's no way I can jump from here to that. And it's like, no, because it takes a bunch of small leaps to get there. It's a climb. Yeah. And a lot of people don't have the faith to be like, okay, I can make the one jump and then the other jump. It's just one after the other. And it's small little victories. You're like breaking away from a group of people that aren't in alignment with what your passion is, that you're discovering, right? And then like you might be alone for a little while, and then just having faith, like you're gonna meet the person, the people, you're gonna make the friends that are gonna help you make this thing happen. You just have to believe in the unknown, right? Like it's gonna come. You gotta be delusional too. It comes. You gotta be a little delusional. You gotta. It's okay. That's what I said. It's okay if you want to keep it a secret for a little bit. Because people are going to think you're crazy.
Yeah, and it's true. You know what I mean? Like, even I tell, Daniel DJ, who did like Chill Sounds and Breakdowns, he would come to me with the ideas, and he's like, do you think I can get this done? And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, that is pretty, crazy. But I'd be like, yeah, it's crazy, but what's gonna stop you? Like, what do we need to get there? And then
thank God he voiced it out loud to you that you created that sacred space, that safety net for him to be like, yo, I really want to do this with him.
Yeah, it was
what
if
you turned him down and you were the person that,
Exactly. And I was the person not to put it down, but to be like, you can do it. It's just,
and let me help
let's
you.
work. I go, like, what do you need? And I was like, whatever I can do, like, let me try to help. And I was still like, this is your thing kind of, and just seeing what he did, because this is technically the second one he stood on. So this is the second one. The first one was a little mixed genre show that we did, and we called it a festival, same venue, and maybe brought out like 100 people. Dope. And then this second one he did, and it was like crazy with like all the vendors, and again we have to thank Robbie helped us like organize a lot of like the vendors, because we had no clue how that realm worked and how like pop-ups work. So Robbie helped a lot, but I think this one brought in over like almost 400 people. So
it was a great turnout.
Yeah, it was.
I loved being a vendor. I had so much fun.
It was just a fun day. Yeah. Like, if you look at it, like, overall,
work and play.
Yeah,
it's possible.
Exactly. Yeah. And again, that opened his eyes, and it's like, oh, and this was a lot of it done without having to delegate a lot to other people. And we're like, okay, we looked at it, and after this one, we're like, we have to now build a team. Like, we need a team. Like, who are we looking to get to help us make this bigger? I go, because right now, based on the 2 events he's thrown, and he's been doing like other things here and there, but we're like, the sky's the limit now. Like, people, not only do you know that, because you knew that before, he believed 100% in himself, even on the times that he was a little iffy. He was like, no, I can do it. And I was like, okay. And now it's like, oh, not only do you believe it, like, everyone around you who saw,
it's
like,
true.
Saw it happen. And it's like, okay, what do we need to level up?
If you don't believe in it yourself, no one else is going to believe it.
You have to.
You got to walk the talk. And then when people start seeing the actions following it, they start following. It's the butterfly effect. That's why I had that as my logo. It's like, you got to make the move, and then people start realizing, okay, she can do it. I could do it too. Yeah,
you get people to believe in you, and then they start believing in their own selves, and then it's a weird feeling like you could be an inspiration. But I tell them all the time, it's like, the reason that I do this, like, that I do, is because you told me that I could do it. One, you helped me set it up, and now, like, I've been doing, you've given me the doorway to, like, to do something that I'm passionate about now. And that's just because you told me, like, yeah, you can do this, you can get it done. And me telling you, walking through this, and DJ and I have become, like, really, really good. I mean, we've been, like, best friends for a while, but as far as that creative partnership, we used to have that in music, but now having it into, like, building businesses, it's so intense, and so like, wow, like, I always feel like I'm definitely blessed to have, like, this type of person in my life.
You have Daniel in your life for that, because it's so necessary. You can do it without it, but it would be just 10 times harder. Yeah. You can, but you need that support system.
You definitely
don't stay somewhere where you're not supported. Never.
That's how dreams die, honestly. Yes. It's just that you
I got a divorce from it.
Ooh, we getting some tea here today. Hold on, I'm getting my water.
Sips water. No, it's true. Like, sometimes we don't know yet what we really want, and what the value is that you, like, the support that you need also. And then, I grew up, I realized what I truly wanted. Mm-hmm.
So you're originally from New York. Yes. Did you live in New York, like, your whole life until you moved here?
Born and raised, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So what caused that transition?
Well, my daughter's father, we wanted to do role reversals, and he had a good career opportunity, and we both definitely wanted to just have a slower pace of life and just focus more on family life. Yeah. Yeah, but 6 months in, certain red flags I was ignoring. It was just time to give it up. The location wasn't going to help. And, it was a difficult decision.
That's hard. That's hard to look at, but that, again, that goes still being able to notice that with anybody around you. To
My
like,
daughter
hey.
was my motivation for that as well.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't want to come home and she sees her mom unhappy. I saw that from my mom. So I'm like, I'm not going to repeat the same story.
I don't think we realize until sometimes when we get older, but how much those little things that we saw growing up do affect us, like as we get older. Like maybe they don't seem that important, but then we realize when we start ignoring our own red flags, like, oh, why are we sticking around? Like, why are we doing this? Why can't I just like,
There's so many levels to it. It's like first you realize, okay, you become conscious of acting like your parent. Then you realize, okay, I'm a victim, but you can't stay in that victimhood mentality for too long.
Yeah.
And then you realize, okay, I need a decondition.
Yes. I mean,
you start to observe your behavior like, oh, I can't be doing that.
That's so funny because that's literally once I am like how I am the person I am like right now took like about 5 years ago. I did that. It's like, oh, okay, like I looked at what stuff I was doing that was like my like parents, and then I was like, okay, and then I realized like, oh, look, I was in that victim mentality. I was like, there was a situation. I'm like, yeah, I mean that wasn't my fault. I know it wasn't, but then you realize, okay, what did I do? Yes. And whatever, it wasn't my fault, but what did I do to bring myself to be here? I was like, because otherwise, like, I could have avoided this situation. Like, what do I need to work on? Because I'm the only one that I can focus on. Like, I can't control what anybody else does to me or what anyone else does to other people. Like, but I can definitely make sure what my actions cause, what type of person I want to be, what I want to reflect to the world. And because the person you are will be like, if you put out love will be reflected back to you.
Amen.
Whatever you put out will be reflected to you. If you're a negative person,
or just treat others how you want to be
treated.
treated, and recognize when someone is triggered, like by how confident and creative you are with your skill set, right? And they don't know how you got there. They just see you right now.
Yeah.
And they get triggered and start hating on you. Just don't take it personal and realize that person just wants to be able to pursue their passion like I am, and just have compassion and grace for the haters.
And honestly, like that took me recognizing that when I was younger, I was a big hater. You know what I mean? Like
Me
I was
too,
like, man,
actually,
I used to do that a lot to
and
people
now we
who
have
were doing what I wanted to
self-awareness.
do. Yeah, that's what it takes. I mean, like, man, I used to do that a lot to people, to like other musicians that I wanted to be like. They were doing this and like, well, yeah, I could do it too if I did this and that, and now it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I could do that too. I just have to do it. Like
whenever we get triggered, because it's still gonna happen. We're human, right? So now when I do get triggered, I'm like, okay, this is an opportunity for me to dive deep and figure out what is it that I really want. Then, if I'm getting triggered right now in this moment, what is it that I don't want? You just start to tunnel vision because we don't got time to lose. Let me figure this out, because if we keep suppressing it,
she's like, I don't have time to not like to keep for this to pop up again. Like,
drinking,
let's figure it out right now.
You can do that, but just make time to realize what are you suppressing here.
Yeah, it's figuring out. It's basically solving that problem or trying to get to the root of it immediately once you feel some type of way about it. You know what I mean? If something made you angry, it's like, okay, what specifically made you angry? Okay, what can we do to make sure that doesn't waste
emotional
time?
intelligence, right?
Yeah, it just wastes so much time to be bothered about something that could easily be like flicked away. Like and
it's okay if we need like a week at first, and then it becomes a few days, and then it becomes 1 day, then it becomes an hour.
Yeah, and then it becomes, a few
you get over it real
quick.
Like,
okay, let me get over it.
Yeah, you get over it
It just
quicker.
depends. It just always comes down to, and like you said, we're human. We're not going to be 100% like good at it all the time. It's just knowing that emotions, it's great. Like, you need to feel things. I go, but you don't have to hold on to them.
We really
because
don't.
they're all fleeting. Honestly, like,
that's what I love about creativity.
Yeah.
Like, we can transmute that energy. We can channel it out, because emotions are feelings in motion, they say. How can you release it and create something beautiful out of it and like make this world a better place?
Mm-hmm. That's something that I definitely appreciate a lot in people who create art and music. Like, it's like, oh, okay, let's take this anger, let's take this sadness, let's take whatever and put it into an outlet, our creative outlet, and make something out of it. Because no matter what it is, let's create out of it. Let's out of the good make good, out of the bad make more good. It all, because especially with music's one thing I was speaking to somebody recently, and it was like, it's all about, it connects like people. Like people want community. Like the reason your favorite song is your favorite song is because it feels like it. You know, like you feel it, and you're like, oh yeah, like I feel like that way. You know, that's why music helps kind of bring people together, and so does art. That's kind of like what I've been getting more involved in, seeing the communities that are built around here. You know, one that you're a part of is something that I'm so interested in, and realizing like how like all these outlets have their own communities, and people are a lot closer to each other than they think they are. And then once you kind of like let yourself be part of something bigger, you start realizing that, you know, you are not alone, you know?
Yeah. And continue to inspire others. Like I said earlier, the butterfly effect.
Yeah.
Connection is really the key. That's why I thought to myself, even though retail spaces are starting to close in the malls and whatnot, but people still, that's what I observed in pop-up events. People still want to connect. They want to have that spark, like through music, you say a lyric or there's a sound that brings them back to a moment in time, that there's that spark, you know?
Yeah.
And people will forever, whether online thrives or breaks down.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Because it's possible. You know, we have to remember where are the locations where we seek that connection and go back to that, because our phones are not here to fulfill our soul.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. The phone thing is kind of interesting for a lot of people, because it's especially with the last year and a half, like you had nowhere to go for most people, and most people dived into that, and then like it didn't come back
reality.
out. You know what I mean? It paints a picture of the world that the world is not, and the easiest way to find out that it's not is to walk outside and talk to the people around you.
It's true.
Because like if you're on your phone and like the news and everything, like everything is negative, everyone hates each other, like this and that, and you walk outside and go anywhere, and these people that apparently you're supposed to hate or hate you, you can talk to them. Like they're all people.
Yeah.
Like these are just parts of them. People like to identify with entire, like one belief that they have makes them good or bad to you.
Yeah.
And I think that's a terrible way to kind of look at the world and look at people.
Words are spells too.
Yeah.
So if we're also saying like people are negative, then you're going to attract negative people in your life. And then even if you're not saying it and you come across it, you just use it as a lesson to like pivot and learn how to have discernment with not engaging with that type of person. Like quickly call your power back in and keep it moving, you know? Yeah,
no, absolutely. And I also think that when people kind of stay away from the people who have different opinions than them, then they also stick in your own bubble, and then you never get to glance at like other people's point of view, because perspective is the biggest blessing that I've learned in like the past few years. And I'm like, okay, let me take myself out of this and let's put myself into somebody else's shoes. Like I still don't have to agree with it, but at least you get some compassion and empathy for like somebody else's like struggle, because if you've never been through that or anything like that, there's no way you know what they're going through, you know.
And being okay with not knowing their story, their reality, their perspective, and agreeing to disagree. What is wrong with that? As long as it's not offending you, or like not offending, but hurting
harming somebody. That's when you can take a look at it a little bit more, you know, depending on what you do. If you're not hurting anybody, then you know, it's just somebody else's life. It's not yours. Like, okay. So
we got to stop taking things so personal.
It's so stressful. And it's so like you live uncomfortable all the time, and you're just stressed out.
On the defense.
Yeah.
And that's just a trauma response. You know?
It really is, where you're ready to, somebody mentioned something, you're ready to jump on that opinion like right away and argue it
I had to
off.
break down from that when I moved to Texas. Like, I don't have to be on guard. There's Southern gentlemen out here. You know, like everything's okay. It's a different world, and I love it. I love Texas.
Good. I mean, Texas is glad to have you. I'm sure we can. I can
they
definitely
treated me
say
good.
That.
They're treating me real good.
Good. I'm really happy about that. I'm really happy that I got a chance to talk to you today, honestly, because you are, like I said, you are doing a lot of good things around here. You for the past months, and then it's still into the future. Like I keep hearing your name around all these other like smaller creators, and the
Thank
fact
you,
like the help
for
that you're
saying
doing.
that. No, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I truly appreciate what you're doing. It's definitely an inspiration. I definitely got a lot from this talk, and it's more motivating me to keep doing
Sweet.
like better. So I'm like, I'm coming around this, my soul filled.
And I'm taking it as confirmation that, you know, I'm not alone. Once again, there's people that feel the same way, even though we're doing different things. That's the beauty of it. It's all necessary. So thank you for the confirmation.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you for stopping by. I will link every one of your things at the bottom of the screen, but definitely keep an eye out for anything that Cecilia is doing with Creatively Boot Goods, with the pop-ups. What do you got coming up next? I know you're...
I'm planning maybe a small business pop-up on November 27th, but the most recent one, November 13th, Ray Street will be shut down.
Ooh.
So come out to Ray Street, November 13th from 11 to 5 p.m. We're going to have Blaze Culture with skate ramps out, like at your event.
Oh, dope. Yeah.
So if you were to OC's event, Chill Sounds and Breakdowns, the same people will be out here plus more.
Nice. Awesome. It's going to be a great time. Thank you again for letting me come by.
Thank you, OC.
We'll see y'all later.